Seduction places me in line. Read me to a submiss inside a crack of her whip is fine. Latex rubber and blind eyes. Cat o' nine tails that breaks me down. Her discipline is so profound. Got the cuts keep me around. Tied up or tied down as long as I am bound. Just as long as I am bound. Place me in your sense of care. I do all for you anywhere. You are the master, I'm the slave. Willing to be your dear frame. Servant to your every whim. Let this fetish love begin. Take control of this be done. You rule this moment, what may come. I like this thing I am whenever you are near. There is no resistance here. She dominates. I need some pleasure with my pain. She dominates. Abuse me with leather whips and chains. She dominates. Witness me to a pretty cry. Break the skin and tantalize. I need some pleasure with my pain. She dominates. You are here. There is no resistance here. She dominates. I need some pleasure with my pain. She dominates. Abuse me with leather whips and chains. She dominates. Witness me to a pretty cry. Break the skin and tantalize. I need some pleasure with my pain. She dominates.
You're listening to the Whip Appeal Show, hosted by MistressCandy69 from the BDSM Alive Radio Network. Hello, hello, hello in Radio Land. Today is Friday, July 8th, 2022, and you are listening live to the Whip Appeal Show hosted by MistressCandy69 from the BDSM Alive Radio Network. Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the show this evening. So actually, Mistress is going to start off by telling, telling you that Mistress and her friend Mistress Black Velvet from the BDSM Alive Radio Network will be appearing live at Exotica this year. Myself and Mistress Black Velvet, and I think her submissive Cece, is going to be walking around the convention center interviewing all kinds of kinky people on the network tonight. On the network at the Exotica Convention Show. And the Exotica Show, I believe, is in Edison, New Jersey, and it's October 21st to the 23rd, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I had looked it up for that time period. So, basically, yeah, so Mistress will be at Exotica. You'll have to come by. I'll be free running the convention center. And Mistress Black Velvet and I will both be doing our shows live from the convention center. So last October, I had actually interviewed like Rita Daniels and Kimmy Kaboom and a bunch of, I think Sir Lorenzo and Casey Carter were there. We didn't get to interview them specifically, but they did come on the show later. So, but I have had a lot of people on the show, and it's pretty good, actually. So if you're interested in attending the Exotica Expo, it's one of the biggest and largest conventions dedicated to sex, love, and porn. And, of course, they have a very big fetish BDSM section also. I think Kinky College usually takes care of the dungeon at Exotica. And I think their sponsors are Chatterbait, Bad Dragon, MFC Cam 4. And basically, if you're interested in going to the convention, ladies are always free on Fridays. They always have like a lot of people there, like vendors. You can buy sex toys, you can buy soap, you can buy anything. They even sell like hair care products. They have CBD type stuff there. So basically you would go to Exotica, it's EXXXOTICA, expo.com, and you scroll down to where you can go and buy tickets, okay? So again, the BDSM Alive Radio Network will be covering news media for Exotica this year again. And I must thank Alexandra for inviting me, as always. She's actually the big director of Exotica. She's a big sweetheart. And I'm pretty excited to be going to the show this year with the rest of my network in tow. And I'm pleased to announce that I have a new dominatrix on the network, Mistress Black Velvet. She does a show on every other Sunday from 9 to 10, about 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And her podcast is called Mistress Black Velvet's Meeting Place. And you can call into her show and ask her questions. And it's kind of cool to see, different dames and how they practice different aspects of BDSM. Like, Mistress Black Velvet is a little older than me. She's been a dame for about 15 years. So, she's now living a polyamorous lifestyle with her submissive, and she's looking for a third. And, it's kind of funny. One of her first shows was about polyamory. And you can actually listen to her show on the network. It was on like last week. So this week, I don't know what her topic is going to be. People talk about all different types of topics when they do shows. And like me, Mistress has a little bit of coffee gas, if I must say. Coffee gas. But, so each show I try to bring to the network is kind of entertaining. And plus, I'm actually looking for other dames and submissives in the lifestyle that are looking to start a podcast of their own. So if you're interested in joining the network, you can send Mistress an email at MistressCandy1969 at gmail.com, or you can email the network directly at bdsmaliveradio at gmail.com. And if you're going to comply an email, just put in the subject, new host, or looking to join network. And then I can give you all the wonderful details. And then you could join the network and be heard on iHeart, iTunes, Deezer, CastBox, Podcast Addict, Google Play Podcast, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, JioSaavn, Amazon, as well as the other new one that they have on there now. I forget exactly. But SoundCloud. So basically it gives you a broad horizon of how you want to kind of market yourself. Like if you're a dom or a sub and you want to talk about, sub and dom topics, that's cool too. Or if you want to talk more about like the submissives and what slaves are supposed to be doing, whatever your topic is, whatever your fetish is, I would love to have as many doms on the network as I possibly can to grow the network. So that's what Mistress's plans are, is to grow the network and make the network a big kinky network so I can provide a lot of different types of shows for all you wonderful people that listen to the shows. And without you guys and girls out there for the downloads, I have to say I've been getting a lot of emails and a lot of downloads, and I want to thank everybody for listening to my show, calling into the show, emailing me questions to ask on the show for anonymous people who don't have the guts or balls to call in face-to-face or whatever. Mistress, of course, I've been a dominatrix for 32 years. I'm a BDSM educator. I used to teach classes for Albany Power Exchange, which is Apex in upstate New York. I was also on the education committee for a year or two. I've taught and done all sorts of needle play, electroplay demos, demos about whipping and flogging, all sorts of kinky BDSM activities for all you wonderful kinky folks to enjoy. So Mistress has been, I love to educate people about kink and fetishes because, there's a lot of kink and fetishes out there and people really don't understand them. I myself is a very big exhibitionist. I have other fetishes myself. I'm into feet and toes. I like guys who cross-dress. Then I like guys who don't cross-dress. I like female submissives who know and understand their place, who understand TPE, which is total power exchange, amongst a few things. So, I try to cover BDSM 101 a lot for a lot of newbies that message me on Twitter and Instagram. And like, for instance, on Instagram today, I got a message from a submissive who, was kind of asking, he's like, may I ask you a few questions? And I said, sure. And I won't say his name, but, he's been messaging me for a couple of weeks. And he wanted to know how he could find a dom in the lifestyle that didn't really charge any money for BDSM services. Now, I did explain to this fella that, I said, look, I'm not going to be, kind of dicky about it, but I will tell you, you're going to have a very, very hard time trying to find a mistress who will train you for free. Now, I told this fella, I said, think about it. You have an apartment, right? He goes, yeah. I said, well, you have a landlord, right? He goes, yeah. I said, now you need to pay your landlord rent. I said, so if you're living with a dame and she has a multiple slave household, I guarantee you she is not going to play with you or give you any attention for zilch. Because I've had the opportunity of having a stable when I lived in upstate New York and had a bunch of slaves and submissives, and some lived with me and some did not. But those slaves and submissives will tell you that the ones who didn't live with me, like my long-term slave Paula, he did not live with me, but I will tell you this, he paid for every single thing I asked him to pay for. Why? Because he had complete, utter adoration for me, and he understood and knew his place as a slave, and his place was to make mistress happy at all costs. So what this slave did was he paid my electric bill, he paid my cable bill, he paid for trips for mistress, he bought me a lot of different things, and that was part of his servitude. So when you get a message from a submissive who's looking to have free play, there is no such thing as free play. Mistress Black Velvet and I have had conversations about slaves, wanting to come live with us over the years and, expecting to live for free. And I said, well, listen, you'd have to pay rent to a landlord, you'd have to pay for this, and you'd have to pay for that anyway. So what makes you think moving in with a dominatrix, you don't have to pay for any type of services? Whether it's a pro-dom session, you're still going to be paying the dom for the hourly rate. Whether you're a outhouse submissive or someone who doesn't live with a dame, you're still going to be pampering and contributing to the BDSM stable in some way or another. Whether you're working a full-time job and then you are coming back home to live with mistress and the other submissives and slaves in the stable, each slave or submissive puts in time, money, and effort, okay? Just like if you were living in a communal household where there's like a king and queen or like a big boss or whoever, and then there's all these like minions and peons beneath you, you would all still be paying regardless. So it's kind of an interesting subject. This fella has messaged me several times, and I keep telling him the same answer. Well, unless you can find somebody who's new to BDSM, who really just kind of wants to train somebody and break them in without any form of household dues, you're still going to be paying for something. It's kind of funny. A lot of these slaves and submissive think servitude is free. It's not free. If mistress needs to pay bills and she has loyal slaves and submissives that are living in a BDSM stable household, they are required to pay for services, whether it's the electric or whatever it is. Somebody's going to pay for something. So to answer this fella's question, I told him to try to go on FetLife and look for somebody in his neck of the woods that would be willing to barter with him. Now, bartering still does not mean free. It means you're doing a service in exchange for another service. So let's say you meet a mistress and she needs like a new roof put on her house, or she needs like a room or two painted. She may consider using that as a bartering tool. Like, okay, you want to play with me, but you can't pay me, but you can work it off. That you can work off your session. So